familiar with
Yeah.
that may, something might happen to it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not okay. So to try and give this without I don't like doing spoilers
Yeah.
unless like we explicitly say spoilers.
You
But
might have to spoil stuff at this
okay,
point. Yeah.
um, I thought it was okay.
Hmm.
Because I'm not normally a person who either super hates a movie.
Sure.
I'll either love a movie or I'll try and find
Well, it's aiming for like with like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. It's aiming for like popcorn entertainment, and
right.
that's a pretty not like it's not a high bar to conquer there. So if you generally follow the kind of more or less the
Yeah,
formula, it'll
and
more or
and I
less
and
work.
I generally I enjoy popcorn movies. I loved the first Jurassic World. I thought that had a lot of great spectacle. This movie,
Hmm.
it's sort of, I guess it feels like a decent continuation, but there's nothing that puts it in terms of spectacle higher than the first Jurassic World.
Sure.
Like for example, like with Avengers, we saw them all come together, and that whole battle at the end was great.
Hmm.
And Avengers 2 had a hard time trying to match that, but at the same time, it still had it had the Hulkbuster fight. It
Hmm.
had the fight at the end with Ultron, where you have like Vision and Thor and Iron Man all like converging, like that. That helped elevate it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still hard to top that first moment you see
Well, it's finding
the
stuff
Avengers.
to do.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's yeah, it does have that kind of like syndrome of a sequel where you've built up to something in the first film, and then I'm sad to say it because it's going to come up, but like it's the same deal as the Lost World. It's like okay, you got this great idea, like a park goes amok and like all the dinosaurs break out. Now the park's gone. Okay, now what? And so you have to struggle to find stuff to do with that.
Yes.
And they do find some interesting aspects of stuff to do. Like they find, like they mentioned that like the government doesn't know what to do with the dinosaurs on the island. There are activists who want to keep them alive. There's like a volcano that's going to wipe them out, so they're trying to debate what they should do with it. There's military organizations that want to auction it off. You have all these different elements that you could go with, but it just kind of soars across the map on all these like so
I feel
quickly.
like with Jurassic Park property, you either have to, if you do something really simplistic, like the first Jurassic Park and
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic World, where you have shit goes wrong, they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You can either go that route, or if you do go the opposite, you have to go balls to the walls crazy. Like there
Mm-hmm.
were rumors for the first Jurassic World they were going to have like hybrid robot dinosaurs or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
like. I feel like you either has to be one end, the super simple but
Mm-hmm.
effective, or balls to the wall, nuts, like tongue in cheek, kind of. We know what we're doing, and this movie kind of just sort of stays in the middle,
Yeah.
and it tries to overcomplicate things, but but do it in a more serious
But
way. And I feel like
yeah.
you can't necessarily do this seriously. The only way you can do it seriously is if it's
Well,
simple.
yeah. That was exactly what I was worried about. Is like how do you make this like there's a lot of stuff here that like that should work, but they don't really build on to like enhance like the seriousness of it. Like when they bring back Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard as the two doctors, and they've apparently been on a break, and they got to rekindle their romance in this film,
Yeah, but
which they don't
we didn't really
really
see them
do.
break.
No, we didn't really see them break. They kind of mentioned it in
It
passing at
was
one point.
exposition. It was passing exposition where they didn't really get along together. It was. I feel like
Yeah.
okay. So I haven't seen the second Mask of Zorro movie, The Legend
Hmm.
of Zorro, but I hear that seems similar. Where at the end of Mask of Zorro, they're like happy ending. They get married. They go off into the sunset. And the beginning of Legend of Zorro, they're divorced.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
It's what every sequel does is they do this thing where they like to like smash on the reset button. So
Yes.
like we got to make them fall in love all over again because we don't know what to do with them.
Right. And I mean
No.
that's sort of
And it's such a cheap thing too because like
it is.
I mean okay fine if you want them to rekindle their romance over this film that's fine. Except they really don't do that.
They did that with National Treasure.
I mean, they did it with National Treasure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, it's clearly it's clear that Chris Pratt isn't really that interested in her so much as he's interested in Blue. The raptor dinosaur.
Yes.
He has a lot more emotional scenes with that raptor than he ever has with Bryce Dallas Howard in this.
I think it would have been better just keeping them together.
Mm.
And, you know, if you can't write two characters, you know, working to, like, carrying them over from the previous movie, if they're together at the end of the first movie, if you don't have a way to write them together in the second movie, find new writers. Like, that was my criticism of in the comic books when they did this whole thing where they split up Spider-Man and Mary Jane.
Sure.
Like, it was basically a deal with the devil, and Mephisto split it up. And I was like, if you can't write Spider-Man as a married guy, find new writers. So, like...
that's the problem. It's like they don't want to, like, expand on it through there. I mean, that's what like, boggles my mind so much, is that, you know, they don't bother to, like, enhance a lot of this stuff. Because there's a lot of, like, these other elements they bring up, they don't really go anywhere. They bring up an associate of John Hammond, which could be interesting. And it seems...
Cromwell.
Yeah, that James Cromwell plays this great aged guy who's trying to pass off his legacy, but doesn't quite know what he's getting himself into. It feels like there's a whole other film to him there.
Yeah,
and it's not there.
And there's a lot of, you know, they introduce his granddaughter, and they try and do a minor plot that they try and...
It's one twist too many.
Yeah, it's kind of they try and do something with her, but it doesn't emotionally or thematically pay off. You know what I think would have been awesome is if you have Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt's character at the beginning of the movie, they're together, but you find out that, like, she can't have a kid.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
And then you build up, and they're still together, but they're kind of, like, emotionally having problems.
Oh, why did they
and
do
then
that?
By the end of the movie, we're, you know, with the little girl.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be cool?
That makes sense.
Yeah, but they didn't do that because that's kind of, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is they chop out all these different sections of the story that could cross-sect each other at various points.
Yeah.
And then they never do. They just kind of, like, stop and start as we go from, like, one dinosaur action sequence to the other.
Yeah, so as far as the action sequences go, I thought they were competent.
Yeah.
You know, I thought they were good, but it wasn't anything that... There wasn't anything that really, for me, topped the first Jurassic World.
Yeah.
With that fight at the end, which was amazing. Just like, you know, you go back to being like an 8-year-old kid again. And this was like, yeah, I'm still a kid, but I'm kind of like a 14-year-old kid now. And I'm like looking at a girl over there, and I'm like, dinosaur. Oh, I'm distracted kind of now. Where it's like...
Well, no. Here's the thing. Like, yeah, the with Jurassic World... I was mentioning how, like, it was like it felt exactly how, like, I felt when I saw Jurassic Park. You know, I was excited, it was adventurous, it was wondrous, it was frightening, and it was a lot of fun. And then I remember how it was watching The Lost World, and I remember being disappointed and kind of frustrated and being kind of, like, not fulfilled, being like, okay, there's dinosaurs here, there's action here, there's a really cool sequence where a T-Rex is running through a city and, like, chomping on people, but
it just
why
felt
am I not feeling it?
Yeah. And that goes back to just, it felt too overly complicated.
Yeah.
Same with Lost World, where they're trying to do too much and nothing really sticks. And you know, you can go, you know, if you need to go to one end, you go to balls to walls crazy, or you do the super simplified. And I feel like they've done super simplified, but I guess they're too afraid to do over the top craziness at this point, because they're still trying to find a middle ground, and it didn't.
Well, I think they want to play it safe, because the last film made a huge chunk of money, and this one hasn't even come out here, and it's already made a huge chunk of money.
Right.
So it's like I don't know. I guess, like, they're trying to play it safe, even though it kind of feels like they're just playing off other stuff. Like, you get to that ending without revealing too much. It felt a lot like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and not in a good way. It felt like, you know, someone watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and said, "I want that at the end of my movie."
Right.
Without really working towards it. There are bits and pieces where I guess if you pieced it together, it kind of has that attitude of, like, dinosaurs coming out into society.
Well,
but...
and I was saying after we got out of the theater, like, logistically, it doesn't make sense. Like, logistically, if you had hundreds or thousands of dinosaurs being released,
yeah,
sure. But there's like 30 dinosaurs at most that are out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a world of...
But there's...
I can't... I find it so hard to believe that that is a problem for 7 billion humans with tanks and nukes and all sorts of, technology.
Except you got... Except now you've got, like, smart dinosaurs. And this is why I was thinking back to, like, I kept saying Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Do they have smart dinosaurs?
Because, they mentioned the dinosaur that they make in the film.
They stole,
is smart.
But they stole that, like, that was the test subject, and it was, spoilers, didn't last long.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the capacity to make more, which is probably, like, if they showed at the end of the movie where, like, let's say... They were also selling the DNA to make the dinosaurs, and then you have a montage of all these private businesses cloning their own dinosaurs, and like here's one in Malaysia, here's one in Russia, here's a secret base in South America, and it shows them, and there's just rows of dinosaurs being cloned.
Yeah,
I could believe that something as bad is going to happen there, and you're going to have like dino wars. That would be fucking awesome. Like setting up like wars between the countries with dinosaurs. Yeah, I could believe that, but I can't believe that something worldwide catastrophic is going to happen from so few dinosaurs entering society.
Okay,
human society.
So how many dinosaurs would be enough, do you think, to destroy society? This is the number question here, because there was at least a dozen there.
Yeah,
at least like
not enough.
No, at least like 24 different dinosaur types of different species in there.
Right.
So
like 1,000.
Maybe 1,000.
Yes, like
you don't think like 100?
I would say a few hundred. I still think that.
Well, dude, it's gonna be like that's why I say it's gonna be like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because there's only like a handful of apes that escape into the woods at the end there.
Yeah, but they're also it's also spread via. But the whole thing at the end of the movie is the virus that spreads and starts wiping out, humanity. And
dinosaurs, freaking virus. They're just gonna munch everything. They're gonna fuck up these humans.
But like if they showed like some dinosaurs out of that group were hiding away and then like multiplying and stuff, like.
But then how are they gonna deal with the Jaws dinosaur, which is brought up once and then
that's right. They showed well, they showed it in like the news footage of like the surfers and everything. I was like, that seems like a big problem.
This is how messy the film is. There's bookends within bookends.
Right. I feel like that's the biggest problem is the Mosasaurus.
Yeah.
Because how do you, aside from like some high speed missiles for like subs and stuff, I mean you could definitely take it down with a lot of firepower, but you just need a few pretty big subs to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that seems like the bigger problem with like, especially since like at least half of those dinosaurs that got out were herbivores.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're running around chomping on people.
No.
So that makes it even more hard to believe that would be an issue of containment.
It's up for debate. Not to mention, like, they throw so many twists at the end there, and then they have the whole kind of Sophie's Choice style ending there, which goes back and forth.
Man, if they went with what Bryce Dallas Howard did, I thought that would have been pretty ballsy to, like, let that happen to the dinosaurs, but obviously they can't do that.
No, that was...
You have to have a fallen kingdom, or the start of a fallen kingdom, I guess, but...
Yeah. See, what they should have done is they should have had her do that, but then... At like the end there, you show like one or two that like got out through the back, or because we already got like the Jazosaurus there. It's clear there's a few still out there.
Right.
That they're still there. So her ultimate decision at the end, kind of more or less doesn't affect too much, other than the inevitability of like what's going to happen to these characters.
Or like they showed like after all of them. Parsa.
Hey Parsa, how you doing?
After, I feel like, or another thing I could do is like, for example, after she doesn't release them, and you have then like government agents coming in and harvesting all the parts or something like that. Like,
but there's so much of that, and there's no build up to it. Like there's this whole dinosaur auction that isn't mentioned until halfway through the film.
Right.
Well, again, like, they want to make more twists out of it, so they just keep butting up twists and twists. But then you have, like, other stuff here that's still developing. Like, you have B.D. Wong, who's the secret villain of all of these Jurassic Park movies.
I mean, sort of. He's sort of
no,
like...
he is.
He is, but he plays it as the for science role where he's not... He doesn't think he's evil. He's doing it out of the basis of, I'm creating life.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for advancement of science and everything. Unlike the mustache twirler,
Yeah.
who is head of the auction kind of thing.
No, he's totally gonna go like Colonel Kurtz by the next film. It's just gonna be like, dinosaurs have to destroy the world.
Well, that's what I would think would have been a great place to take it, is have B.D. Wong like be in charge of like the cloning, and he like has his own dino army or something.
Yeah.
Like, but that would take it to the extreme. But like I said, you either have to be simplified or you have to take it to the extreme. This is sort of like kind of a middle ground that doesn't work as well, and it just felt sloppy.
Yeah.
I feel like it was overly complicated and just kind of poorly executed.
It's a lot of ideas, and like none of them really play out as well as they should.
Yeah. So I thought, I mean, overall, yeah. I mean, I was...
Like, honestly,
mildly entertained.
The one thing that really just kind of like drove me over the edge here is just because there's so little time for everything here. There's barely anything. Like seriously, I mean,
He's in there for like a minute.
Yeah, because I mean, like in the film, you got come on there, you got like Jeff Goldblum in there, and you. Like, you got cool dinosaurs, you hear the Jeff Goldblum narration.
Jurassic World.
Except that... I know it's a spoiler, but I don't care. This right here, this is his scene.
Yeah.
This is the whole Jeff Goldblum scene.
They open with 30 seconds of him talking in the courtroom, and then they close with 30 seconds of him talking in the courtroom.
That's all. That's all they could afford.
I mean, you can afford more than that for Jeff Goldblum. I mean, this movie made almost $2 billion, didn't it?
Yeah.
Jurassic World did. You can afford that.
This one's on track to get $2 million too. Like that was what depressed me about like Hotel Artemis. Like, there's Goldblum in there, but there's barely any of him in there. It's like, oh well, just...
But they used him fairly.
They used him fairly well.
Yeah.
I kept telling myself like, oh, don't worry, like Jurassic World will come out. No, there'll be more Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
There's even less Jeff Goldblum here. There's barely any.
And I'm glad. So I don't watch trailers. So I went after the movie. I saw it and I watched the 3 trailers, and like at least for the second one, they reveal a lot. Like they go through. Like, it's one of those, this is the plot of the movie. Mm-hmm. And you can see who the bad guy is. You can see the auction. You can see all this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, marketing teams are, like, I don't know what has instilled in them the notion that we have to tell the entire story.
Well, they're at the bidding of whatever the house who's editing this stuff wants. Because, like, the director has very little say at all.
I know, which is awful.
Yeah, which is terrible.
Like, if you look at, the first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, that was great.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't reveal anything. It was just like, here's some explosions, and it shows them doing cool stuff, and doesn't really spoil anything. And you could do that with this movie, like, without, giving stuff away, but that's too much work.
Yeah. I mean, because the whole, that's again, like, another flashback to, like, Lost World. Remember how much they used, like, Hammond in that film? Kind of there for like a minute and then gone.
Oh yeah, he was yeah.
Same thing here. He's just fulfilling the Hammond role. Just like I'll pop up and say a few words, and that's like that trailer is mostly just Goldblum's narration.
Yep. To
sell you on that, only to get there and realize you've seen everything of him in the trailer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like literally, that's no exaggeration. What you saw there in that trailer. That's it. That is all you get of Goldblum.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like it's not all bad. I mean, I mean, in terms of dinosaur action, it's like you said, it's serviceable.
Yeah, it was competent.
There's a really great sequence where some of the heroes are trapped in a control room that's flooding with lava as the dinosaur is coming at them, and there's this kind of like sheet of lava that's trying to trap them in between there.
I thought that's
good. Really cool.
I thought the sphere, the ball,
the little gyrosphere, return.
I thought that was cool.
Good use.
When they're in the water and stuff, I thought that was cool. but yeah, there's
The music's actually really good too.
Yeah, Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, he I think they did what they kind of did with Jurassic World was they tried to record it differently, so you kind of got that. It felt at times like an old serial soundtrack at certain points.
Yeah,
like you could hear in there, like there's a scene where like Pratt's desperately trying to get away from like a flood of lava, and I was really getting like those kind of like like those kind of like jungle serial vibes there, because like they have that kind of like like those like amping up of like the horns in there, and just, it feels very, very classic.
I feel like they just needed to choose a very few thematic elements and just go with those instead of trying to do a whole bunch more. Like focus on Chris Pratt and Blue, you know, focus on.
Which they do, but there need to be a little bit more there to feel something.
There needs to be a little bit more. And like you said, opening the movie with those, like in the trailers, they show Chris Pratt playing with Blue as a baby.
Yeah.
And in the movie, you see another character watching that through like videos on the screen. But, you know, as you said, opening the movie with the cold open of that training would have been fantastic.
That's what I thought they were going to go with.
Yeah.
Because that would seem like the best use of that. Just show it right from the beginning, because honestly, like, among all the different arcs that are going on in here, the one between Owen and Blue is probably the most defined. Like, it has like kind of like a build up, a beginning, and the middle section, and
you have really... the entire first Jurassic World that also builds that up.
Yeah.
I mean, and the first Jurassic World, you know, pays off that relationship right at the end of that movie with that giant fight where Blue decides to help out Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And to carry that over into this movie, you know, they kind of did, so Blue still helps him out, but I don't know, just not enough.
No.
So
it's the dinosaur action, honestly, the dinosaur action is neat, and it would be enough to recommend, except for the fact that I think it feels uneven at times, where they kind of blow their load early. Like in the trailer, they show that big scene with like the island exploding and the volcano and all the dinosaurs stampeding in there. That's within like the first half hour, maybe.
Yeah, they're not on the island long.
No, that just like kind of happens and just goes for it.
I mean, they're actually on the island longer in Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
Like in Lost World, they're actually on there a lot longer, and then the city stuff is like it's a weird splice onto that.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's just like, nope, we're off the island and now everything's taking place in the mansion.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which
isn't bad, yeah.
It isn't bad. It's just, you know.
It's like a huge shift.
I feel like if they really wanted to really push the granddaughter theme and that sort of the narrative with that, they could have done something much better in terms of how it was executed. It's very tacked on.
There's too much there that you can't enjoy, like, because they have that other great shot in the trailer where the one of the dinosaurs, like, kind of like in the darkness of moonlight, kind of like creeps through the window and kind of like has like the little claw that goes after. Like, that's a really cool shot.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous how they get there, but it's like that's cool.
Yeah.
But there's not much of a flow to it. It's just like kind of like, okay, here's our little horror movie section where the dinosaur comes in and gets the kid. And
right, and like the chase and everything, I thought was. You know, it reminded me a little bit of the Velociraptor chase in the first Jurassic Park, where they're in, like, the kitchen and everything.
Yeah.
But, like, the whole defining point of the granddaughter and her story element, because it wasn't as executed as well as it could have, but that is the whole reason why the end of the movie happens. What happens at the end of the movie is solely because of that. And if you didn't have the build-up competently executed, then the payoff at the end, and without spoiling it, the granddaughter says, "They're like me."
Yeah.
You know, but it doesn't hit. It doesn't hit.
No, and that's where I go back to like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because
yeah,
it pretty much ends in a similar. I was almost convinced that like Blue was gonna say like it's like Blue, go.
Blue talks. Hey,
Blue will talk.
Velociraptor's talking in Jurassic Park 3. Alan, when he's dreaming and the. I mean,
see, this is the route they gotta go. They gotta go with the original script they wanted to do for Jurassic Park 4, which is gonna have them with guns.
Right. If you're gonna go crazy, go for it.
Let's be honest. It's gonna end up with like the Raptors are gonna get guns. they're gonna arm themselves. They're gonna make their own like Bill of Rights
I mean,
for
I mean,
dinosaurs.
if this eventually ends with Chris Pratt like riding Blue into battle, then I will say if this movie was needed to get to that point, okay. Like,
if it goes nuts in that third film, yeah, I'll be on board with it.
I would say it would have to get to the. I mean, I could see it happening in the third film, but I feel like to really build that up, the third film has to have, you know, like maybe all of the companies cloning them, the government cloning them, and proliferating all of the dinosaurs first, because we still don't have. They allude to like the Indoraptor as being like super smart and everything.
Yeah.
But they don't. There's only one of them, and it's killed.
Yeah.
So we don't have any of those super smart dinosaurs. The third movie should be building up them really being smart.
No.
And
Well, not even don't even bother with build up. Make them already built. Make them already smart. Like
I mean, you could do like 10 years in the future, like 5 years in the future.
They should, you know, what they should totally do. They should do like a Monster Island type thing, where they've all kind of like fled to their own little sanctuary on their own island.
Yeah.
And then they have to have like a big standoff there.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
And just simplify it. We don't need extra like cloning twists and like auctions and corporations and government involvement.
Just make it simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
It's popcorn entertainment of dinosaurs battling each other. This doesn't have to be that complex. You don't have to make Rise of the Planet of the Apes. You don't have to.
I mean, that's why we have Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
That's why we have Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so you don't have to make it.
Yeah, just give us, you know, dinosaurs. Just
yeah, I'm not expecting that much.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't. Because I mean, the score is really fun. I mean, like I like the fact that Giacchino isn't just trying to directly replicate the same theme, even though it goes back into it.
Right.
I like that it goes to more like the kind of like the adventure serial type deal. The action sequences are still there. They still work.
Yeah, they're still fine.
I think they need a little bit more emotional punch because I didn't really feel that much for like one Stegosaurus that gets left behind. It's supposed to be the most tragic thing on the planet.
I thought like when the Brachiosaurus was being left on the docks.
Yeah.
That was like the most emotional moment for me.
Well, see, it seemed that should be the most emotional moment.
Yeah.
But because we didn't really spend that much time getting it, there's like one shot where they admire that Brontosaurus, and then like the next time we see him is like he's on his deathbed. You know, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's like I still feel that much for it.
I still thought it was similar to the scene in the first Jurassic World where they're with the dying Brachiosaurus, which I thought was a much more effective scene. Yeah. Because it was so up close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they needed something like that.
It still worked for me. I mean, but that was really the only emotion I felt during that movie.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of do have that moment. They have it with Blue at one point where they're kind of caring for him and they're kind of holding him. Yeah. That kind of works. And I think it works a little bit better because you have like an emotional involvement with the dinosaur as a character as opposed to just an effect. Yeah. A little bit. I mean, Blue doesn't talk or anything, so you can't really do much with him. Not yet. But not yet.
But I mean, I mean, might as well just call Blue Caesar. I mean, they're that's what they're alluding to.
They're gonna put like a voice collar on him. He's gonna be doing like the sign language of Coco. Like, yeah. Blue hurt. With those little raptor arms.
Oh man, but they need to give it the voice of the Dachshund or the Doberman and Up.
And Up, that's what I was
with
thinking
like
of,
yeah, that's what they should do. No, that'd be.
They should totally do that. It's insane, but it's Jurassic World. You should be a little insane when you're doing this stuff.
So I'm kind of, I didn't dislike it, but I also was a little bit disappointed. So I'm kind of in the middle.
I'm disappointed. There's bits and pieces here that work. Like I said, we were talking about the sequences. We were talking about there's some emotional edge there. It's too much at once, crammed through the door, and you really can't get into it as much just because everything is rushed. And there's so much that was rushed. There was a controversy at one point that what's her name? Like Dr. Zia, the one of the female intern they had, the toughest nails doctor. Yeah. Where they said that there was like a scene cut out that was going to showcase that, you know, that she was gay. And it's like, this film doesn't have time for it. I don't even think Chris Pratt's straight, by the way. I see this film. Yeah. I'm not even sure he's straight.
Well, they didn't even, and that's the thing is, they basically, there wasn't enough time to focus on any sort of romance or any sort of
No.
relationships besides like the beginning of the movie where they're like, "Oh, you dating an accountant now," kind of thing, and just you're like, "Oh, they're broken."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like, I thought the doctor intern was okay. I thought the intern.
They
Computer
fulfill what
guy?
they need there. Yeah.
I thought he was okay. He was, he wasn't like super annoying, but
No, he fulfills. He's supposed to be the more or less the scream queen for this.
yes,
So,
which
and
he
he
did.
does great. With
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So he was, he was fine.
Yeah.
The lead hunter guy was competently kind of bad. But nothing like, extraordinary in terms of being just
Yeah.
going a step beyond, I guess. In this movie, I feel like it's a little bit step backwards from the first movie.
Oh yeah. Well, because like the first film had a clear goal in mind. I mean, it was park goes to shit, get out of the park. I mean, you have like there's talk of cloning and there's like military involvement.
Yeah.
But all that stuff was just kind of like peppered in there.
Yes.
Where it's not like the central arc that's
Yes.
driving everything here. Here, there's so many splintering arcs here.
Yeah.
To try to, because now you're outside of the park, so now there's you go all over the place here, more or less.
Yeah. Well, if they had continued with having Vincent D'Onofrio's like his successor show up, and it was still like a government thing, and BD Wong was still a part of it, but now BD Wong's with the private businesses and everything. And it just feels like they're kind of just moving BD Wong here and moving him here. And it feels like follow the threads that you set up in the first movie instead of creating a brand new thread and trying to carry over threads from the first one to try and connect them.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you have one line here, one line, like here's like the government in the first Jurassic World. Here's like the private entity selling auctions in the second one, and they're trying to use BD Wong to connect them. And it's just like, no, just go with like the secret government stuff. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
And they had already set that up in the first movie. So here they just kind of add more complicatedness to it. I
mean, the love action pictures combined with emotional side in any movie game. Usually, well, yeah, obviously, you want that emotional aspect, so you got some humanity there.
Right. I mean, you can't just be like...
Which I think if they, like I said, if they trim down a lot of these arcs, it could be there. Like, the strongest emotional thing you feel in the film is between Chris Pratt and the Raptor.
Yeah, which should have been like a main tenet. Like,
which it is, more or less.
They could have just focused on Chris Pratt and Blue, and then maybe the granddaughter and Bryce and Chris.
Yeah.
And that way you can carry over the child parent element from Raptor to human.
Yeah, the child element, like, I mean, it's similar to like Jurassic World, but it's an ambulance film, so you got to have a kid in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of more phoned in, which is kind of more or less the intent of the character here, to be just kind of there for the purposes of whatever to push forward.
Yeah.
So,
but then they try and make her thematically important with that story hit point, and it doesn't hit.
But they do that with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff they just bring up for thematic elements and then don't really address at any point. Like the whole like deal with the government involvement of the government just kind of shrugging, just like, I don't know. I mean, I get it to the degree that they understand, like, there's not going to be any help at this point.
Right.
But it's to such like a ludicrous degree where the governments are just kind of like like I don't know what these kids
you could have taken both court scenes and just had them watching a 30-second snippet on TV saying the government will not help us, blah 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 blah, and that's it. That's all you could have done. But they were like, we gotta put Jeff Goldblum in here.
I would have liked it more if he wasn't like bookended. I would have liked it more if it was kind of like, maybe like Rashomon style, where like, they keep cutting back from like footage of the dinosaurs and like the poaching, and then cut back to him, have him like talk about it, and then go back and forth.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have. it would have improved him. I don't think it made him great, but
yeah, or even if you're gonna use Jeff Goldblum to such a lesser degree, just give him a cameo.
yeah,
Just have him be on the TV, and they're discussing like, and now our next guest is Dr. Ian Malcolm, and that's it, and that's all you could do, because if you're gonna, if you're not gonna utilize Jeff Goldblum to his fullest potential, don't even bother giving him more than 30 seconds. Just do a cameo for the surprise of it, and then maybe bring him back to full extent in Jurassic World 3.
yeah. He has more to do in the Jurassic World Evolution video game
Yeah.
than he ever did in there.
Yeah.
So if you want Goldblum, at least you got the video game for it. So
Thank
there
you.
you go.
Yeah, we got good beards. Yeah.
Yeah, the God of War, so we had to grow out the Kratos beards.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I was very much kind of like it sounds kind of like I hate the film, but I'm very much on the fence with it because like visually I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think they do a lot of great stuff with the dinosaurs, but yeah, like the human element is just kind of not there.
I don't.
Which
Yeah.
with summer blockbusters you kind of have to subtract that a little bit. But I think they skimmed off a little bit too much here. I'm just kind of like...
I don't dislike the film, but yeah, it's just kind of serviceable.
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
it's frustrating is the best word.
Yeah. It's just, I'm a little bit disappointed, but not enough to say like, it's got its moments.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie's still going to make $1 bajillion.
It already has.
Yeah. So it's going to keep on. Yeah, it's going to keep on making tons of money. So I'm just hopeful that Jurassic World 3 will see some improvements.
Well, apparently I'm not sure if it's solidified, but I'm pretty sure like I heard like Trevorrow is going to come back and direct it.
All right.
So if he's involved, I think he might have a steadier hand because he has a much better, at least from what I've seen with his directing, he has a much better hand at kind of balancing all these different types of tones.
Yeah.
Because he did a great job of it in Jurassic World with balancing, like the violent and the wonder and the kid aspect. And he did a kind of a good job. I know I'm kind of like, a little bit of a lone wolf here when saying this, but like he kind of did that in Book of Henry, where he was kind of balancing this kind of like, coming of age film with kind of this Jason Bourne assassin type film.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's pretty good at doing that. And I hope he comes back because then I think he could add some craziness to it, but also have a kind of a balance of character to it.
He's not doing Star Wars, so...
He's not going to Star Wars. He's got open time now.
Yeah.
I hope he does because because I was thinking back to to Jurassic World and how like that scene with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, where they have their first meeting there and they have really good chemistry there, and then they have little small bits out throughout where their chemistry really builds throughout that film if you watch it like begin to end there.
Which one?
The first one, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And also because like I think the kid aspect was a lot better too. With building them into like Bryce Dallas Howard trying to be motherly in there,
yeah,
which would have made sense if they carried that over into the next film with her trying to have kids.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it's more missed opportunities. Yeah,
Star Wars.
Most movies like they are.
Well, I mean, it's definitely hard to. It's definitely hard to try to recreate or reproduce, the old school trilogy feel. But
yeah,
we're getting slightly off subject, but I feel,
we've pretty much said all we have about Jurassic World.
But I mean, I feel Force Awakens was a nice homage.
Yeah, it's very much like a love letter type film. It's like it's like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, and it's like Superman Returns. It's like, are they great examples of the genre? Not really, but they're easements.
I wouldn't put Force Awakens on the same level as Superman Returns.
I know that Superman Returns gets a lot of shit, and I've kind of grown to like it just as a love letter. I
don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's kind of dull in a lot of places.
Yeah, and I can see that too.
It's just kind of slow.
Yeah.
No.
That whole last arc is pretty much just like the Passion of the Clarks. So
yeah,
so
yeah.
That's as far as it goes there.
Yeah.
The Raptors and the T-Rex. Yeah, I mean they'll always be good. The dinosaur action never fails. I mean, because that was the best part I think about Jurassic World for me was watching the kids react to this film.
Yeah.
Because like when we first saw it, we were sitting about next to like maybe it was like some 6 or 7 year olds, and they were digging it as much as we were.
Yeah.
And then I went to like another film a week after that, and I was in an elevator. I was sharing an elevator with a 9-year-old kid with glasses who was telling me he was going to see Jurassic World for the second time. And he was telling me how cool it was, and that at the ending, like, all the good dinos team up to fight the bad clone dinos,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that kid was fucking me.
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's like, that's what I love so much about the film, but I should have known that going into Fallen Kingdom, being like, oh man, it's gonna be like when I saw Lost World.
I mean, and
it's gonna be that
yeah.
same level of disappointment.
It's so weird how it's there's such a direct comparison to Lost World.
Mm-hmm.
And Lost World came out in 97? No, 90. 97.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah.
Because Jurassic, Park 3 was like 2001.
Yeah, that's right. Which, I don't dislike Jurassic Park 3.
No, I think that was a great recovery.
I thought Jurassic Park 3 was very entertaining.
Yeah, Jurassic Park 3 gets a lot of shit just
Taya
because
Leone was, yeah.
I think it just gets a lot of shit because people are just kind of like tired of like the summer blockbuster formula for that franchise at that point. Which, if you go into it knowing that kind of like B movie plotting, I think it's a pretty damn good film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen Jurassic Park 3, give it another watch. It's actually
another,
pretty good.
and it has so they bring back Alan Grant, so Sam O'Neill.
Yeah.
And it's basically it's another. There's a kid who gets lost on one of the islands, and these parents hire Sam O'Neill to help bring him back.
Yeah. See how simple that plotting is?
I mean, there's a slight twist, but it's not complicated.
But it's woven.
Yes, it's woven in, and it's basically most of the movie then becomes get off the island again.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. Like I enjoyed Jurassic Park 3. So, but yeah, Jurassic Park Lost World and now Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. There's definitely going to be a lot of comparisons, and I feel it's just weird how they were able to, either consciously or not. I don't think they were actively thinking, let's try and make this like Lost World.
Yeah.
So.
But I just had another correlation. There was actually a Lost World video game that did have voiceover narration by Jeff Goldblum. History is repeating itself here.
It is.
It's never gonna end. Which means, hopefully, that Jurassic. It will mean that like Jurassic World 3 is gonna be good, even though audiences won't like it. I can't wait for that because like obviously this film's gonna make a lot of money, but I think a lot of people are gonna come out of it like dissatisfied, kind of like we were.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few people there who they were really getting into it. They clapped when Blue saved the day. And
I was like, I probably clapped and probably was very vocal in the first Jurassic World when Blue comes and saves the day, and like you have that kind of thing. That was like a clapping moment, but like, or like when she leads the T-Rex out, like that's a clapping moment. This was like, good job, Blue.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Well, the other thing too is like at these preview screenings, people clap for everything at these screenings.
Yeah, they do.
They usually do. I think I actually have played the Jurassic Park PlayStation 1 game. I think I've played it on this stream once or twice. I have played there's a tournament fighter Jurassic Park game, which makes no sense at all because it takes place in the park. And there's dinosaurs fighting each other in rounds that have an announcer.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to piece this together, but then my brain explodes and
They're setting it up for Dino Bots, Dino Raptors in the Jurassic World 3. But yeah, like I don't know, when I was watching the trailers for the movie, a lot of the comments from people who had already seen it were like, "This movie was great. This was a good movie. Oh, I loved it." And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think the casual audience just might be a little bit more.
Well, it depends what they're looking for out of it.
I mean, it's the reason we got 5 Transformers movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on like I said, like on the very base level of like visuals and action sequences, it's competent. And for a lot of people, that's all they need.
That might be all they want is to see some Chris Pratt with dinosaurs. That's all.
Which you get. I mean, not to a. Like, I was surprised. Like, there's a lot of great like quippy moments with Chris Pratt, but it almost kind of feels like putting the movie on life support because like there's several scenes where like you feel that there should be more laughter there, and you could feel like people like trying to like choke out laughter here because like Chris Pratt's likable and you want to like him, and like he's giving these kind of lines that are like kind of chucklers but not really. So
he might need a different foil.
Yeah.
And maybe the
well,
computer, the computer guy. I mean, the computer guy wasn't even there with him for a lot of it. He was, you know, a lot.
He leaves the film for like a good chunk of it.
Yeah. No, there are some times where Pratt's just by himself.
Yeah.
And then he kind of rejoins them. But
he does get a pretty cool action sequence in there. Where he actually gets to like fight humans.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was cool.
So there's competent moments in there.
Yeah, no, Chris Pratt is great for just comedy and action. He definitely is like the right blend of not being too comedic, but also still being able to do. Well, and he can still be serious too. I mean, he can be a great dramatic actor if he wants to be.
Yeah, he's kind of got like a, you know, like what the best comedic actors have, or like you feel like he doesn't have to try to be funny. Like he can just walk into the scene and just casually go about his lines, and he's kind of got like Bill Murray syndrome, where you know he can just like casually walk into something.
Well, and like when he goes up to Bryce Dallas Howard and he's about to go look for Blue, and he's like, "Just remember, if I die, you're the one who sent me out there." And it's like and stuff like that. Like it works.
Great line.
It's a great line. But yeah, maybe he needs like a better foil, or maybe Bryce Dallas Howard's character needs to be a little bit more uptight like she was in the first movie, because their dynamic in the first movie worked better because she was super corporate, uptight, and he was like the complete opposite. But like he was sort of like the street smarts. He was the Dino street smarts kind of guy, and she's like, no, this is how we program them. And he's like, lady, like that kind of dynamic, and they didn't have that as much because she's learned from the first movie. And that's why you can't separate them.
Honestly,
you have to have them together as a couple, and then you can have a dynamic of, I mean, I give my wife shit all the time, and I'm sure a lot of couples give each other shit. So you could then have a completely new dynamic of where they're giving each other shit, and she kind of maybe she fights back with like he gives her a line, and then she's like, oh yeah, and then he's like, oh, that's why I love you, or something like, you know, like.
Actually, I just thought of a way that it could have worked better in this film. It should have been a film about Pratt learning to let go of Bryce Dallas Howard. Because there's literally a moment towards the end of the film where she's kind of like, she's fighting and she's injured, and she more or less just says, you know, I'm fine, go to Blue.
Yeah. Go
to him. Because I know you love him.
Yeah.
It should have been that. It should have been just them realizing it's not going to work out, and just end the relationship. And then
they're like, no, they're going to be together.
They're going to be together, even though they didn't really do much. I guess all you need is a dino stampede and relationship repaired.
Mark, that's too depressing for a Chris Pratt box.
But the ending is depressing here. The ending is depressing too.
It is. I mean, sort of. It's kind of.
It's super depressing.
The future of the end of this movie is depressing.
Yeah.
But the end of the movie is like, hey, the dinosaurs, they live, kind of thing. They're trying to fool you, Mark.
Well, it's going back to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. We're just like, yeah, there's dark implications, but it's kind of an ending, I guess.
Yeah.
So so there's that really awkward moment at the ending where they're all in their car driving. It's like, so we're not gonna talk about what just freaking happened with the dinosaurs.
Wait, so what happened after they got out of after they were driving? I forgot. They were driving and then
nothing. They just
kept driving, right?
They just kept driving, and they saw like some pterodactyls in the distance. Kind of like, oh, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, there wasn't any sort of. Like, at least at the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, you can see the effects happening with, like, that really cool sequence of the virus spreading and everything. And there wasn't really anything like that in this.
No.
And if there is going to be something, they're going to have to open the next movie with it, or they're just going to have to cut to, like, 5 years in the future and just do this post-apocalyptic dino movie where, like, Chris Pratt has, like, his raptor squad.
Yes.
Like, if they open with that... fucking amazing. It would be awesome if they just cut the bullshit and just go straight on and you know, they open the movie like a cold open of them going out on the hunt and he attaches like a machine gun turret to like Blue, and he's like, "Let's go, Blue!" Like, I would be so stoked to see that. But,
I would love that.
Oh man,
that would be so
because then they can
audacious of a move, but it's so fucking insane that it could work. It's so wonderful.
All right, we'll try not to do.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't spoiled.
Now I know there are dinosaurs in the movie.
Yeah.
Shit.
Wait, there are dinosaurs?
Sorry. Yeah. All right. We'll try not to. I know.
We barely even spoiled anything.
I know.
There's so many splintering arcs here. We'd have to diagram all this shit.
I would say it's, if it's in like the discount theater, or once it's on, eventually gets to Netflix. It's barely passable B movies material. Like it passes all the bases to be that kind of popcorn B movie, but never really ascends past that. Like it never topples itself over like what Jurassic World did. Triassic World. No, they can't do Triassic. They can't name it that, otherwise they lose all the branding, man.
No, you see what they do is they spell Jurassic World with a 3, where the E is, where the C is. I mean.
Yeah.
They do something dumb like that.
Yeah, I don't know like how they're gonna. Yeah, or even if they're gonna do 3, because they're like, we don't want to have it be like Jurassic Park 3, so Jurassic World, they're gonna have some sort of subtitle to it. It wasn't. You know what? And there wasn't even really a Fallen Kingdom in this movie. There was an allusion to it.
Well, I think the Fallen Kingdom they're kind of referring to that the park is kind of like this once majestic container of dinosaur population is now gone, which would have been a great aspect if that was the film, but it's one of like 3 or 4 different arcs going on. If it was just going back to the park and just kind of like filtering through it and kind of like going back and thinking in time of like what have we done, what have we learned from this, and then end with them getting off the island,
destruction of it and everything.
That would have been a great little film right there. And you could have spaced out more time so you have more romantic tension with Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
You could have built up more relationships. You could have showed off more of those intern characters. Maybe develop more of their character through there. But no, this film's on like steroids. It's got to amp up everything to get as quickly as it can to the next arc.
Yeah. Yeah.